Just before I begin, I wanted to talk a little bit about why at Esri Australia we've started this Innovations Lab. It's an area where we've been working on for a while now to bring some solutions specifically to the local market. So taking the Esri ArcGIS platform and building on top of and around that to deliver these specifically localized solutions for Australia. It's all about making it easier for you to deploy and get value from the ArcGIS platform by having these workflow-specific apps, such as what we're going to talk about with SMARTERWX. And at the moment, our focus is very much around the streetworks and asset management space. And so these solutions that we've been building are really focused on that utilities, local government, and engineering type industries. There's quite a few of us doing this. So this is our Australian and Malaysian joint team that works on these products. So in Australia, we've got Henry, who's the product manager, our UI designers and spatial analysts. And also in Malaysia, we've got a growing software development team that's actually building out these applications for us. And we work very closely together. So just a quick show of hands, who is already using SMARTERWX in here? We've got some, that's great. And people that have heard of SMARTERWX? Yeah, that's pretty good. So the main thing we're going to touch on today is how SMARTERWX has changed from being a single product to a range of different products. So those that have been using SMARTERWX for collaboration on capital works projects have been using what we now call SMARTERWX Collaborate. But we've added to that portfolio now with a product called SMARTERWX Locate and SMARTERWX Automate, which are focused around the dial before you dig area of sharing asset information and collating those asset responses from the dial before you dig process. So just to start with SMARTERWX Collaborate, this is our solution for sharing your capital works plans between different utilities and local governments so that you can find opportunities to improve the scheduling of those works, to reduce the times where you're digging up the road multiple times in a year, and also to save costs where you can share the reinstatement costs and things like that between organizations. And this has been a really successful product and has been used more and more. If you look now at the range of customers we've got using SMARTERWX, and this is probably a little bit out of date as it keeps growing, and you'll find many of the major water utilities, we've got gas, electricity, and many councils using this now to share their works and improve the way that scheduling is done. Earlier this week, we were at Esri Sydney, and at Esri Sydney, we had someone from Sydney Water come and tell us about the benefits that they've been able to deliver through using SMARTERWX Collaborate. And I wanted to share some of those with you because I think they're really valuable to understand the power of that product. This first one in Coogee was a 200-meter long water main renewal. And what they discovered through SMARTERWX was that in the same area where they were planning on doing this water main replacement, the council was also looking at doing some road resurfacing work. The green one there represents what the council was doing, and the blue where Sydney Water planned to work, right on top of each other. So what they agreed between them was that Sydney Water was going to come along first and do the water main replacement, but they weren't going to have to do as much reinstatement work of the surface as normal because they were going to instead share those costs with the council. They were going to pay council to do the resurfacing, and at the same time, council was going to do that whole area. So just for Sydney Water, they saved themselves $15,000, but also that asset is now got a longer life because it's not a new road with a nice trench down the middle of it. And also, there's less disruption to the community by sharing those works. This other example that they've got here was where Wollongong City Council had posted a job that they wanted to do. And at the time, Sydney Water weren't planning on working there at all. But they did know that within a few years, they were going to have to replace that water main. It started to age and was getting close to the point of replacement. When they saw that the Wollongong Council was going to do some resurfacing work there, it changed the economics for them and made them bring forward that water main replacement so that they could do it earlier than previously planned because of the savings that would be generated by working with council. And the big thing here was about that reputation piece. We've all seen the stories in the press about where, you know, the same road's been dug up multiple times, where one of my favorite examples was where the headline said, water company digs up road whilst tarmac is still warm. And that's these examples of where, you know, this poor scheduling and poor collaboration have led to those issues. So in this case, they were able to bring forward that work. Then this third example in Greenacre, if you look on this map, what you'll see around the site is a large church, a Catholic school on one side of the road, another public school on the other side of the road, major sports fields all around here. And what was planned by both Sydney Water and by the council was that they were going to be working in this street. And the disruption that was going to be caused here was huge. Just imagine how many cars are dropping off and picking up kids every day and attending sporting events, attending church. What they were able to do was work together, reduce the amount of time in total that road was closed, and really improve the outcomes for the community. So they're just three examples of how SMARTERWX Collaborate is really making a difference and really saving time, money, and reducing disruption in the community. When I talk to people about SMARTERWX, I often get asked questions about how it works with ArcGIS. Is it completely separate, or does it integrate well with it? So I wanted just to show some quick examples of how SMARTERWX and ArcGIS are built to work together. So the first one is about how you can take data from SMARTERWX and display it on your own maps. So with SMARTERWX, it exposes as ArcGIS feature services all of the project information and those scheduling opportunities. And if you go to the help, you'll find details about how to build this feature service URL, which then allows you to add this data directly into your own maps, whether that is in ArcGIS Pro or ArcGIS Online or any of the other mapping environments we've got. Here we're looking at ArcGIS Online, where we've been able to use our SMARTERWX credentials to then load that data straight onto a map and display it and start analyzing it and symbolizing it however I want to do. So data from SMARTERWX isn't locked out in some separate environment. It's there for you to bring into your own maps as well. The second area is where we can bring our own data and display it inside of SMARTERWX, so the other way around, by setting our own base map. So I've designed this beautiful base map in ArcGIS Online. These sort of pinkish areas are census districts and some random blue rectangles on there. And I want to use that as my base map. So I can take the web map ID from ArcGIS Online and copy that ID into SMARTERWX Collaborate through the organization settings option. And when I do that, I also need to provide some authentication details about how SMARTERWX Collaborate can load that data in. Now this is a technical piece. You need to go to the developer's site to create your credentials for this. And again, this is all on the help site for SMARTERWX. But once you've been able to create an application, you get your access key and your secret, which can then be used to connect SMARTERWX Collaborate with your ArcGIS Online or Portal for ArcGIS environment. So these ID and secret, we now have to copy these into SMARTERWX. And then all that data that we've designed in our own web map, any private layers we've got in there, are now displayed as the base map for my data. Ta-da. And then finally, about using Live Connect as a way of syncing my data from my own ArcGIS Enterprise feature service into SMARTERWX. So this is where we want to be able to have data copied on a schedule between the two applications. So I don't have to export data from my GIS and load it into SMARTERWX. It just moves automatically. And to do this, I again just enter the URL of where my ArcGIS Enterprise server is, and then select the details about which feature layer I want to use, and that data will be automatically synchronized into SmarterWX. So whilst they look like separate applications, SmarterWX and ArcGIS are very much built to work together. Next, I want to talk about one of the new products, SmarterWX Automate. So SmarterWX Automate is your solution for working with dial before you dig inquiries. Whenever you as an asset owner receive an inquiry from dial before you dig, SmarterWX Automate will generate the responses for you and send them back to the inquirer. And we do it in a way, as you'd expect from Esri, in a very GIS-centric approach, that we focus not only on sharing PDFs, but also sharing data as well. And SmarterWX Automate is 100% managed in the SmarterWX cloud, with no dependency at all on your own infrastructure. So whenever those inquiries are received from dial before you dig, Automate generates everything required to send it back to that inquirer. So you don't need to make sure that you've got your own WMS services running. You don't need to make sure that your servers are available 24/7 or anything like that. Automate deals with all of that for you. And we also believe that we can share data in better ways than just a PDF map, which is why we can share as a web map so that your inquirers can start panning and zooming around. And I don't know about you, but I found myself the other day, I was looking at the newspaper and there was a picture there and I wanted to see it more clearly, and I actually pinched and zoomed on the physical paper to try and do that. And I think, this is where we've got to now, that when you get like a PDF version of a map, people expect to be able to do more than that now. So we provide it as a web map, we provide it as shapefile, or as a GIS service. Now these are all options that, as an asset owner, you can choose how you want to share it. But we believe that we've got to move beyond just this idea of giving PDFs out. And just like we've looked at with Live Connect with Collaborate, you set up synchronization of your data from your own GIS services into SmarterWX Automate as well, so that you keep your data up to date in your own system of record and allow Automate to do everything else for you. But we also believe that the information that comes from those dial before you dig inquiries is really a useful enterprise asset that you want to be able to share with people within your own organization as well. It shouldn't just come to a server and be locked away in the basement somewhere. So Automate can allow you to set up watch areas where certain people will be notified whenever an inquiry comes in for those areas. It allows people in your organization to search for the information, and allows you to export it and use it for your own GIS analysis as well. So just to give you an idea of what Automate looks like, this is a screenshot of the search view, and we're seeing all of the dig inquiries that we've had around our region. Anyone can click on one of these to find out what the inquiry was and who it came from, and also how it was responded to. And some of the reasons for doing this are to allow us to give real-time notification when people are coming in with inquiries near critical assets, so that if you're owning a high-pressure gas pipeline, you'll know as soon as someone makes an inquiry near your asset. It can connect these dig inquiries with your SmarterWX Collaborate data. So the project manager of a future planned piece of work will know that someone else is digging in that same area. And also the thing we get as a request from a lot of the councils we worked with, there's this ability to answer questions that people call in and say, why are you digging up our road again? And you say, well, it's not actually us digging it up. We can see that it's actually some telco that's doing some work in the street. So that's Automate. Next one is Locate. SmarterWX Locate is used by people that make inquiries in dial before you dig. So this is about taking, again, this GIS-centric approach to safe work methods and risk management for working near underground assets, and presenting all that information not just through email but through a map-based interface. So we take the idea of the email hell of working with dial before you dig and really combine that information together to reduce the amount of time it takes to administer it, to avoid the risk of missing content, to help you understand where you are on the site and deal with the variety of formats of data that come back through this. So SmarterWX Locate really works to replace the email client as the way of receiving information with instead using the web portal to take it all together. So SMARTERWX Locate receives the emails on your behalf and shares them with whoever's required to see them in your organization. And again, this is the sort of view that we get in SMARTERWX Locate, where once we've got the information back, we can view it all within this, within the web browser. But to talk about the benefits that come from working with SMARTERWX Locate, we've got Leon Bowers, who's the National GIS Manager for Lend-Lease, and he's going to share with us some of his experience using Locate. Thanks, Leon.
Thank you very much, Gary. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for letting me have the opportunity to come and present to you. We've been working with Gary and Esri Australia over the last couple of years to get our Dial Before You Dig solution together. Now, we haven't been around for too long, so as GIS and Lend-Lease Engineering, we've gone from one person in 2016 to 12 right now. And that's a result of us winning projects, engineering projects, and also our clients requiring a digital engineering approach to our projects. So some of our projects, you'd recognise some of these names. They're some of the biggest infrastructure projects in the country. A few of them here in Queensland, obviously. This is how we use GIS technically. We are primarily using it to visualise up-to-date designs and survey, including service locations. That's one of our biggest uses. Our Dial Before You Dig inquiries through a system which is the predicator to SMARTERWX Locate, and it's called Excovo 360. And you can see some of the other data sets that we generally have in our systems. So we have a common system that we use in all of our infrastructure projects, and that's called the GIS. You can see an example there for Kingston Smith Drive, and that's what we're going to delve into a little bit further in the next minute or so. Our biggest risk is hitting underground services, okay? The consequences of that are huge. You know, the potential loss of life or serious injury, monetary loss, and also loss of reputation for the company as well. To manage that risk, we've got global minimum requirements, and these are a set of processes that we need to put in place and that are in place before we're allowed to do any sort of ground disturbance. There's a requirement for us to positively identify where those services are, and that all starts with a Dial Before You Dig inquiry. Sounds simple, right? Well, there's a little view of the public utility plant for Kingston Smith Drive at your average intersection, and that is a bit of a spaghetti network that I wouldn't want to be sticking a shovel next to. So what we've done is we've integrated Excovo 360, or what will become SMARTERWX Locate, in with the GIS through web services. What you're seeing there is a single Dial Before You Dig request over that area. What you're not seeing is that over the whole job, we've got live Dial Before You Dig requests in the whole project boundary. Anyone can come and use the GIS, click on that polygon, open the inquiry, and they'll be presented, this is the old interface of Excovo 360, with all of the responses that you would have received in that location. So some of the benefits that we're finding with using Excovo 360 and we'll continue with SMARTERWX Locate, a streamlined inquiry process. We can actually fire off the Dial Before You Dig without having to go to 1100 through this system. Very easy access to all Dial Before You Dig documentation. We literally have had cabinets of paper and Dial Before You Digs printed out into them, which people have to go and ask someone to find the current Dial Before You Dig. No more. We've got a defensible record of Dial Before You Dig status, so if there is a problem, we can go back and we can show you that we did that Dial Before You Dig in a particular location. We can auto-update the Dial Before You Digs on a 28-day cycle to make them current. There is whole project visibility of any dial, so anyone can come into that system to a particular location and go and find the latest information. It's also an excellent proposition for us to use the GIS. So many cases on a new project particularly, this is the one data set that people go and use along with our survey initially. And it really, you know, engineering is something that people use a lot of paper on still, but this is one way to take them away from that. Our plan is to roll out SMARTERWX Locate across the whole of Lend-Lease in 2019, and to position SMARTERWX Locate as the way to do Dial Before You Dig. And we want ICT support in that to integrate our Active Directory and the like, and not necessarily even integrate it with a GIS. we want to integrate the SMARTERWX Locate API with other Lend-Lease systems that are already existing there as well. Thank you very much, Gary. I'll hand back over to you.
Just one quick question. How many people have you got using it now?
I couldn't tell you.
Thousands, yeah? Yeah. So thanks so much for that. I think it's important to hear how these products are actually being used. I just wanted to finish up on a couple of points about where SMARTERWX is going next. In the introduction, it was said that we've always envisaged that SMARTERWX was about the whole of the capital works process, right through from the planning stage, which Collaborate's there to support, through to this construction phase or preparation around the dial before you dig area. But we want to really support all of your needs around this workflow. So one of the next things we're looking at right now is SMARTERWX Permit Manager. Permit Manager is about supporting the consent to work in the road. And we're doing this because of the very strong link there is between SMARTERWX Automate and the permitting process. So where somebody applies to or makes a dial before you dig inquiry, with your response to that inquiry, you send back a link to say, if you want to work here, click on the link and you can start applying for that consent to work in the road, and submitting things like your traffic management plans and project plans and so on. Also working on SMARTERWX Atlas. SMARTERWX Atlas is there to give you a one-stop shop for finding all the information you need to make decisions about doing public works. The example here is anyone that's doing NBN work needs to apply for land access activity notices with the councils. And to do that, we also need to understand whether there's heritage layers, cultural, environmental considerations, who the road owner is, who the landowner is, so that we can gather all that information together and make the appropriate decision. And so SMARTERWX Atlas is that one place to bring all of that together. So these are the next things that we want to work on with SMARTERWX, and that hopefully next year we'll be talking about these as products as well. To learn more, please come and see us at the Esri Australia booth at the Tech Hub. So that's where you can actually see some of this in action, and I'll answer any questions about it. Otherwise, go to smarterworks.com and you'll find all the information on these products. Thanks so much.